Hey, what's up, everybody? Jasper Gonzo here. Another What's Next, your daily dose. Hope everyone is doing well today. Well, if you haven't heard, the Supreme Court confirmation hearings have kicked off. They kicked off Monday with, of course, a, "Hi, how you doing? I'm Ketanji Brown Jackson, and I'm a woman. I'm black, and that's all you need to know." That's it. I could stop it right there and just move on. But no, seriously. When you had Dementia Boy was asked about his pick for Scotus, what did you look for? He was asked, what were the intangibles, the experiences that you were looking for? Well, I got hairy legs. And by the way, she's black, and she's a woman. I'm sorry, I probably sounded more like Bill Clinton than Dementia Boy. But you get the gist. Now we have the Republicans asking simple questions. Very straightforward, yes or no's. But according to the media, and of course according to left-wing politics, no, because that's racist. Let's take a look at one particular example. This comes out of Breitbart. Ketanji Brown Jackson won't say if U.S. should strengthen child pornography punishments. Think about that for a second. Yeah. Of course, that is Miss Ketanji Brown Jackson. President Joe Dementia, Supreme Court nominee Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson did not give a straightforward answer to Senator Tom Cotton questions about whether the United States should strengthen or weaken sentences for child pornographers during Jackson's confirmation hearing on Tuesday. Quote, should the United States strengthen or weaken the sentences for child pornographers? A simple yes or no. Cotton asked, which Jackson responded, Senator, this is not a simple question, and the reason is because what this country does in terms of penalties is in Congress's province. Okay? You all decide. You decide what the penalties are, Jackson continued. You decide the factors that the judges use to sentence. If you determine that any set of penalties is insufficient, then it is in your purview to make that decision. Is it? Is it? Quote, there are many crimes that Congress has determined warrant mandatory minimum penalties, warrant other kinds of penalties, and that in your purview to determine, the judge added. Cotton then reacted. I have to say, Judge, I think whether or not we should strengthen or weaken sentences for child pornographers is a pretty simple question. In my opinion, straightforward. But I'll move on. On Monday, Savage Josh Hawley, Senator Josh Hawley, called into question Judge Jackson's record ahead of her confirmation hearing to the U.S. Supreme Court during an interview on Fox and Friends. Hawley pointed out that Jackson's time on the bench suggested Jackson had been lenient on child sexual predators and soft on crime. He said a Senate Judicial Committee needed to know whether Jackson would protect the nation's children or sexual predators. Yes, protect the children or give praise to the PEDOS. Tuesday was the day 2 of Jackson's Supreme Court confirmation hearing, in which the judge also refused to join with the late Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg and outgoing Justice Stephen Breyer in opposing court packing, and said she did not want to answer because she was so determined to stay in her lane. Well, regarding that situation with Josh Hawley, I was going to jump to something.
Guidelines called for 10 years. Prosecutor wanted at least 2. You gave him 3 months. And when you did, you made a number of arguments and statements in the record, and I'd like to go through some of them because I've read them all. And the first argument you made was that the federal guidelines that punished child porn offenders, the ones that Congress wrote, were, and I'm quoting you now, are in many ways outdated. That's your quote. And you went on to say about why you thought they were outdated. I'm going to quote you again. You say, and I quote, I don't feel that it's appropriate to increase the penalty on the basis of the number of images or prepubescent victims, meaning little kids, as the guidelines require, because these circumstances exist in many cases, if not most, and don't signal an especially heinous or egregious child pornography offense, end quote. I just want to ask you about that because I just have to tell you I'm having a hard time wrapping my head around it. We're talking about 8-year-olds and 9-year-olds and 11-year-olds and 12-year-olds He's got images of these, the government said added up to over 600 images, gobs of video footage of these children, but you say this does not signal a heinous or egregious child pornography offense. Help me understand that. What word would you use if it's not heinous or egregious? How would you describe it?
Now we go to this. Breitbart. Pollack, 5 key points from Ketanji Brown Jackson's tough day in the Senate. Supreme Court nominee Ketanji Brown Jackson had a tough day on Tuesday as she faced first serious questions about her record and her judicial philosophy. Judge Jackson came across during the introduction hearing on Monday as personable, likable, accomplished attorney, and jurist, beautiful family. Tuesday, however, she was unable to satisfy the concerns that she harbors deeply racist political views, radical, and that she had a record of being too soft on PEDOS. There were several key points. There are 5. I'm just going to go, in my opinion, over the main ones. Ted Cruz nails Jackson on a 1619 project, critical racist theory, and her sentencing record. Cruz honed in on Jackson's 2020 speech, praising the 1619 project, critical racist theory, which declared America was both founded on racism and remains systematically racist. She professed not to know the central thesis of the 1619 project. The false claim that American Revolution was fought to defend slavery had been debunked. She also claimed that she did not refer to critical racist theory as her work as a judge, whereupon Cruz produced, hey, you know what, I got a speech here from 2015 in which she said it was relevant to her work in sentencing guidelines, which is dangerous, which certainly guided her later judicial work. Cruz also called her an embarrassing contradiction. She claimed that critical racist theory was not taught in schools, but then was confronted with evidence that it was taught in the Georgetown private school, which, of course, the board which she sits. She then backtracked, saying that she only meant public schools. That's what I meant. Last, Cruz produced charts showing her record on sentencing sex offenders was indeed weak, and he debunked the White House claim that her remarks on child pornography had been taken out of context. Democrats tried to introduce evidence that her sentences looked better when probation was taken into account, but created new problems for themselves because it looked like the White House had fed them the lines that was being held from Republicans, which, of course, we all know it was. Marsha Blackburn showed that Judge Jackson is unwilling to state what a woman is. Who knew that in 2022, this kind of question would come up in a Scotus nominee? Really? Most of Senator Blackburn's line of questioning was aimed at showing that Jackson was not a conservative jurist. Well, of course, she's not. That was no surprise. But was jarring is the fact that Jackson refused to give even a biological definition of what a woman is. At every point in the hearing, she and her supporters talked about the fact that she is the first black woman to be nominated to the court. So clearly a woman had some meaning for her. It was a reminder how radical left-wing jurisprudence on gender has become. Yes, when you can't even define in a straight-up yes or no question what a woman is because you happen to be a black woman, no, we can't go there because I don't know. And of course, Josh Hawley questioning Jackson closely about her record on sex offenders, as I just showed on a Fox News clip. Harley's presentation, was impressive simply because it was so thorough and undermined claims that he simply intended to smear her. Democrats were reduced to demonstrating, even to the point of justifying lenient sentences for pedos, is a very bad place to be. My thoughts. There are some serious questions with Ketanji Brown Jackson. And of course, there should be. You should be able to go over her entire record. But as I saw in a clip this morning on Tucker, that even asking about her LSAT scores is racist. Yes, because it is. Because you had no problem going after Kavanaugh 35 years ago for a supposed party that he was at, that he did supposed nonsense to one Blasey Ford, which of course she couldn't, she said he did, but she was the only one and nobody else could confirm that. So of course that's bullshit and lies. But then again, you had women, you had these feminists pounding down the doors of Scotus. How dare you bring in somebody so Evil as Kavanaugh. And then you have Coney Barrett. You have Coney Barrett, who is a mom of 7, including 2 adoptees. A Catholic, strong in her faith. And what did they go after her for? Not for her judicial record. No. Let's go after her Catholic faith. Because everything's on the table. But now that we have a black woman going for SCOTUS, no. We can't examine anything because that will be racist of you. The double standards, the hypocrisy continues in Washington because that's all it will ever be. It's a land of hypocrites and morons and idiocy. But in this clown show that is this SCOTUS hearing, exactly what you're getting. Clownery. And so I'm glad that Josh Hawley, I'm glad that Marsha Blackburn, I'm glad that Ted Cruz, even Lindsey Graham are asking tough questions as they should. Do I think she'll be confirmed? Probably, only because of 10-9. But you got to make it very clear that records count. But when you had Dementia Boy running around saying, well, she's black and she's a woman, well, what are his experience? Who cares about that? She's black and she's a woman. Come on. Come on, man. And with that being said, I'm Jazz Berganzo. This is What's Next. Want to see more just like this? Please leave a comment below. Like it, share it, subscribe to it, and we'll catch you again real soon. Peace.